In this video, we're talking about a traffic crime. It's called leaving the scene of an accident. There are a couple of different variations of this violation, and I have the different statutes laid out here. But essentially what these statutes are saying is that there was some sort of an accident and the driver didn't do the right thing. So the driver left, the driver didn't leave a note, the driver didn't notify the owner of the property. There are a number of different ways that somebody can be charged with a crime after an accident, and we'll run through the statutes briefly. So as you can see here, there are four major statutes. I have them broken out here into different rows. We'll run through them. The reason why I wanted to make this video is because sometimes people will come to us and they'll have a citation or a ticket with multiple different leaving the scene of an accident violations, and they're not really sure why they're being charged with all of these different things. So let's run through them. Hopefully that gives you an understanding of how they work and how we can defend against them. Once we understand how they work, we can better build our defenses around that. So let's just jump right into it. So the first statute is 28662, and this is the main leaving the scene of an accident statute. It's basically saying that if you're involved in an accident, you have to do a couple different things. Number one, you have to stop at the scene of the accident, or you have to return to the scene of the accident. So if you're involved in a roadway, you hit another vehicle, you need to stay there, or you need to return to the scene. So sometimes people will bump into one another. One person will have to move to get out of the way of the oncoming traffic. You have to stay as close as reasonable to that scene. The other thing that you have to do is you have to exchange info. So A2 of section 28662 is referring you to the next row, which we'll talk about. But it's basically saying you have to stop, you have to exchange information as governed by the next statute that we'll talk about. And the final part of this is that you cannot obstruct other traffic more than necessary. So of course, if somebody's injured or very, dying or something like that, it's best not to move them. But if you can move your vehicle, if you can lessen the impediment to the flow of traffic, that's good. You're going to want to do that, because otherwise you're in violation of this law. You're obstructing the traffic, and you're not supposed to do that. So those are the main ways that we see that. This violation is a Class 2 misdemeanor. So in other videos, I've talked about what the different violations are, what the different classifications of misdemeanors are. This is right in the middle. A DUI is a Class 1, a criminal speeding is a Class 3, which is the lowest, and this leaving the scene of the accident or not following any one of these subsections is a Class 2 misdemeanor. It's also 6 points. So if you get convicted of something like this, it's 6 points on your license. We'll see people who often come to us with multiples of these things stacked on top of one another. So they will not stop at the scene, and then by not stopping at the scene, they couldn't provide the information. And so now they're charged with subsection A1 and A2. That's 12 points and 2 criminal charges. Obviously, that's a lot. The other thing that people can be charged with is if they do not stop, if they do not exchange information, or if they do stop, so they're not in violation of this top section here, but they do not exchange the correct information, or they refuse to provide information, they can charge them with 28663. This is a Class 3 misdemeanor. So this is the lowest level misdemeanor, but it still is 6 points. And what this law is saying is that once you have stopped and you've been in an accident, you've stopped, you've communicated with another person, you have to exchange 2 bits of information. On the first line item under A1, your name, your address, your registration. Those types of things need to be exchanged. But you also have an obligation under A2 to provide a copy of your driver's license to show the other person, this is my driver's license, this is who I am. Make sure that that information is exchanged. If you stop and you don't actually leave the scene of the accident, but you refuse to provide that information, or you're just yelling obscenities at one another and F this and F that, well, you have not complied with the rule under 28663, and so the police can charge you with a crime. It's a Class 3 misdemeanor for that. So these two statutes have a lot of interplay with one another, but generally we see these, and we can see these stacked on top of one another. So you'll see somebody charged with an A1, an A2, maybe an A1 and an A2 down here, and so they can be charged with multiple leaving the scene of an accident violations just from one incident. The other one that we see quite often is 28664, and this is really you didn't leave a note crime. So this is when somebody backs into an unattended vehicle. So in the first row, we were talking about 2 vehicles that were being operated by people. We're talking about attended vehicles, vehicles in motion. People are in both vehicles. The next row, we're talking about information. The third row is the 28664. So this is you didn't leave a note. This is an unattended vehicle. So one person's driving, they bump into another car. Maybe they're backing out of a parking lot, or they just bump into another vehicle as they're trying to park, or something happens. That other vehicle doesn't have anybody in it. What you're supposed to do is leave a note. Okay, you're supposed to get out of the vehicle. A2 says you need to find a conspicuous place. You need to leave a note. You need to find the individual. Go physically search around the around the parking lot, around the venue, see if you can find that individual. But if not, then you have to leave a note. It needs to be in a conspicuous place, meaning you got to put it somewhere where the driver's going to see it, under their windshield or in their window, in the driver's side door. Whatever it is that person is going to see it, it's not going to fly away. So you have to stop and you have to leave a note, or you have to find that individual. Failure to do that is a violation of the law. It's a Class 3 misdemeanor, again, the lowest level misdemeanor that we have, but it's also 6 points. Remember, a DUI is 8 points. So leaving the scene of an accident, even though it's a much lower classification of a misdemeanor, it still has 6 points, which is a lot of points. It's 2 points less than a DUI, so it's quite serious in terms of your motor vehicle record. The last subsection that we see, or the last section, the last law, is 28665. This is not necessarily regarding another vehicle, but it's regarding other property. So it's the same rules as this third row, the 664, but it's saying that if you hit some sort of property, generally we see this as signs. We see somebody, jumping a curb and hitting a sign, or hitting a trash can, or hitting a bench or some sort of property. We've seen it when somebody will bump up and hit a power transformer or something like that. That triggers that a person they have to do something about that. They can't just leave that, and if they do, that's a violation of this statute. And so what you have to do is you have to notify the owner of that property, and you have to tell them what happened. So you have to alert them to the fact that the accident happened. You have to give them your name, your registration, and you have to show them your driver's license if they want to see it. You have to be able to present that and provide that to them. So a violation of any one of these things, and again, that bottom row here is also a Class 3 misdemeanor, and it's also 6 points. So if you bump into somebody's sign, or if you hit a light pole, or if you do something like that, and you leave that scene and you fail to notify the owner of that, whether it's the city government, whether it's a private or a quasi-private utility operator, whether it's somebody who has a sign on the side of the road, you leave and you don't notify that person, the police can find you and charge you with a crime for that. So these are all the different variations and permutations of the global kind of leaving the scene series of crimes that we have. They're pretty significant because of the fact that they're criminal, and they also have a significant number of points on there. They're multiple, basically the equivalent of multiple violations, multiple moving violations, and so your insurance company will not be happy about that if you get that on your record. So I hope this helps explain why you may have been charged with multiple different violations. The police really like to stack these things up. In most cases that we've worked on or we've seen, there are a lot of good explanations for why these things happen, or why people don't leave a note, or why people leave, or they're just not aware that an accident happened. There's a lot of reasons as to why somebody may be in violation of this law, but what we do is reduce these down. We want to minimize people from having that high level of points. We want to minimize people from having criminal convictions. We help people handle these all over Arizona. Generally, it's just a matter of negotiating out a good resolution with the prosecutor, with the judge, and of course with the other person who was involved in the accident. So hope you found this helpful. If you have questions as they relate to your specific case, give us a call. We offer free case evaluations. We're happy to speak with you. Thanks for watching.